The School of the Saints, Episode 6, The Delegation has been deputized, moving out on mission. Christians are called to share the good news. Jesus commands his disciples to go and make more disciples. The church has a missionary mandate. The church strives to preach the gospel to all men, says the Catechism. The laity are called to participate in Christ's prophetic office in the ordinary circumstances of the world. The Fellowship of Catholic University Students, Focus, has an amazing teaching they use for their Focus missionaries to call people to the next level of evangelizing. It's called the High Call. If you spend a year building up 2 persons as disciples to Jesus, and the following year they went out and spent a year investing their lives in the life of 2 other persons each, this would slowly but surely over the years begin to change the world. Spiritual multiplication grows tremendously. This is how the early church changed all of Europe and the Near East. We are called to enter into this same spiritual battle. The mission will cost everything. It will cost time, potential loss of friendships, reprioritizing schedules. Jesus asks us to pick up our cross and follow him, to love as he is loved, and to lay down our lives for one another. We do not have to try to convince people to follow Jesus by diluting, compromising, or begging. He is enough. This is from the Foundation for Discipleship, the Higher Call from Focus. Saint Maximilian Kolbe was a priest in Poland who started a teaching and publishing movement named the Knights of the Immaculata, named for Mary's Immaculate Conception. Max was printing tens of thousands of devotional materials, a monthly magazine, a daily newspaper, books, pamphlets, cards, and papers. He needed so many copywriters, artists, printers, and binders to meet the demand. Maximilian called his printing house a city of the Immaculate. He had almost 800 friars working on this project. In 1939, the Nazis occupied Poland. He was arrested twice and eventually taken to a concentration camp. Maximilian Kolbe volunteered to take the place of another man who was sentenced to die. His remarkable life and story is recorded by many, and the man he saved. I will not even try to pronounce his name, as this man lived to tell the world. Check out The Mission of the Immaculata online, and the book 33 Days to Morning Glory by Father Michael Gately. Bishop Fulton Sheen. Fulton John Sheen, who was born in 1895, died in 1979, was an American bishop and archbishop known for the Catholic Hour on NBC Radio from 1930 to 1950. It moved to television and was called Life is Worth Living from 1952 to 1957. He spoke and wrote often of the modern world and seemed to be a prophet foreseeing the current age we are now living in.
The weeks that we have spent together have been a great joy to me.
The barbarism of the new era will not be like that of the Huns of old. It will be technical, scientific, secular, and propagandized. It will come not from without, but from within. For barbarism is not outside us. It is underneath us. Older civilizations were destroyed by imported barbarism. Modern civilization breeds its own. We are at the end of Christendom, Archbishop Fulton Sheen said during a talk in 1947, making it clear he didn't mean Christianity or the church, but he said, Christendom is economic, political, social life is inspired by Christian principles. That is ending. We've seen it die. Look at the symptoms: the breakup of the family, divorce, abortion, immorality, general dishonesty. Only those who live by faith really know what is happening in the world. The great masses without faith are unconscious of the destructive processes going on. Check out Fulton Sheen's Catholic Hour on the internet. 50 amazing episodes with Bishop Sheen teaching the faith. Many of his book titles include Life of Christ, Treasure in Clay, the autobiography of Fulton J. Sheen, From the Angel's Blackboard, The Last 7 Words, The World's First Love, Life is Worth Living, On Being Human, and Finding True Happiness, among other titles. In 1983, Pope John Paul II addressed the Catholic bishops of Latin America and Haiti, and he called for a new evangelization. Not to re-evangelize, but to a new evangelization, new in its ardor, methods, and expression. The new evangelization is aimed at the baptized already in the pews. It's more like awakening those asleep, stoking the fire that is burnt down to embers, reminding us of what we have forgotten, or maybe never learned. St. Pope John Paul II wrote in his encyclical Redemptoris Missio, "I sense that the moment has come to commit all of the Church's energies to a new evangelization. No believer in Christ, no institution of the Church can avoid this supreme duty to proclaim Christ to all peoples." This is real, not pie in the sky. Lest we start to think that the saints had an easy walk with the Lord, let's remember many of them suffered from horrible lifelong illnesses. They faced intense persecution, and some were executed because of their love of Christ. This is one of the greatest tools for evangelization, the understanding that real people in real world situations have overcome the world. There's a great story about St. Teresa of Avila, who was traveling to her convent during a fierce rainstorm. She fell off her horse, slipped down a hillside into a stream, and splashed down the river in the mud. This little spitfire of a holy woman shook her fist at God. If this is how you treat your friends, no wonder why you have so few of them. These are real people in the real world. St. Ignatius reminds us, if God sends you many sufferings, it is a sign that He has great plans for you and certainly wants to make you a saint. St. Elizabeth Ann Seton died in the early 1800s and was the first person born in the United States to be canonized as a saint. She established the first Catholic girls' school in the nation in Maryland and founded the first American congregation of religious sisters, the Sisters of Charity. "We must often draw the comparison between time and eternity," she said. "This is the remedy of all our troubles. How small will the present moment appear when we enter that great ocean." St. Francis de Sales said, "Many would be willing to have afflictions, provided that they not be inconvenienced by them." St. Pope John Paul II, in his encyclical on the meaning of human suffering, said basically that because Christ loves you, He makes room in His suffering for you to come and participate with Him, knowing the love of the Trinity by uniting yourself to God. Father James Kubicki, in his book A Heart on Fire, Rediscovering Devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, Father James says, "Where one part of the body suffers, Christ the head suffers with it. And since Christ has a heart that is human and divine, He feels all we feel, but with divine intensity." So one of the ways we move out on mission, one of the ways the delegation has been deputized, is by taking our real world suffering into the world and making it clear that there is purpose and meaning and redemption behind those things that we wrestle with. Tune in next week for our final session, the Paragon of Perfection.